So yesterday we covered on the concept, not identifying the thoughts, not attaching to all the visualization, not to crave for all this mental creation, thoughts, planning, visualization, memories of the past, and all kinds of mental creation, even though it is sometimes like a mental commentary, sometimes it may be problem solving, sometimes like you may be talking, or sometimes maybe songs that's going through the head. All these are mental creation. The mind creates it, and we, as a Vipassana meditator, we should not grasp upon all these phenomena, especially in all this mental creation. In our everyday life, we use this concept to go through day after day. We need to talk, we need to listen, we need to give directions, time, and so on. So all these things are, in a way, they are concepts. So during in the Vipassana, it's not that we suppress the concept, we just learn to put the concept aside. We don't get attached to it. The thoughts will always come up one way or another. Even though that you are enlightened or not, these thoughts will arise, but due to the nature of mindfulness, then we can able to be aware of it, and then with the nature of wisdom, we can able to discern them, that we don't fall into its trap. We switch the mind back again to the right objects to pay attention. So too, like thoughts that comes with emotions, anger, sadness, anxiety, jealousy, happiness, joy, exhilaration, and all that thing that is happening inside the heart. Now, all these emotions, they are present objects. They are present object, this sadness connected to a certain memories, a certain thoughts, or this is the anger related to certain incident of the past, which is also memory of in the present sense. So here, the emotions here, they are real objects. They are mental objects. They are actual Vipassana objects, but they are difficult objects. So one has to pay attention to them. Face to face with them, the mind has to be firm, note the nature of the object as they are. Sadness, 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 or anger, 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 or anxiety, anxiety, anxiety. You got to be firm with them. Don't give in. Don't fall into the story. Don't fall into its trap. Again and again, we have to remind you. Next retreat, you come back, same story. It's not like you suddenly you become enlightened overnight. You're gonna come back again, and then the mind will fall into that thought, and then suddenly you realize that, oh, I should not have gone in. But it is through training, it is through repetition of this training, retreat after retreat or day after day, the mind gets more skillful. As the mindfulness arises, it knows how to catch hold of all this cunningness of the mind, all this twist and turn of the mind, and you can able to know how to pull out from it, and then you just watch it and just let it pass through until it fades away. So this is important for all yogis. This area here, the discerning part, this is one of the most difficult part in Vipassana. A lot of yogis, when they cannot discern this thing, As I said, most of the time they fall into the thoughts, they fall into the creation, and they believe that these are real Vipassana. You fall into like very calm, very peaceful, nothing there, and then you think of it, or you interpret it, or you believe it as emptiness. Emptiness, sunyata, or whatever it is. Or some yogis, they interpret that, or they believe that this is becoming this is an enlightened state of mind. Some yogis have all kinds of creation, and these are the things that when I go around in places and meet with different devotees, different meditators from different all kinds, from everywhere, they believe that all this mental creation is all enlightened. When you go to certain places, they want to create the light from the stomach area and then come out, and then you can hold on to the lights. Another place that also I've known of, that when you sit down, and then you get nodding, right? Nodding because of sleepiness. Yeah. And then there are people who interpret this as you sit and you nod, and how many times you nod, and then suddenly the mind goes blank, enlightened. And that you laugh right now. When you are in that group, you will think, wow, how many times you go nodding in the sitting? And people believe that. Now there are places they even give you a counter to see how many times you nod. And that nodding itself, it will be counted as like a deeper insight into arising and passing away. And how many times you every time you nod, every time you nod. And that is happening in the world right now. And they label it as Vipassana. Big label. And people like it. So as I said, this is not Vipassana. This is not the way. The way of Vipassana is that you have to pay attention. You have to pay close attention. In the suttas, it is all mentioned there. Sometimes you read those suttas, you don't understand. You just read only what is on the superficial side, actually. Even though you think about it, you think and you ponder over it, you are still on a very shallow level. It's just like from one shallowness to another shallowness. You haven't gone anything deep yet. Only when you start really doing proper practice, then only the realization of what the Buddha meant, even in the suttas, has got a different layer of understanding. Yeah? Those things comes with development. Now, tonight we continue a little bit on this concept. Now here, when we are doing this Vipassana meditation, of course, our mind has to know which are the right objects, and we take note of the right objects. Here, the right objects here, basically it falls under the four foundation of mindfulness, the four objects of the Satipatthana. The first one, what? Body, kaya. Kaya nupassana satipatthana in Pali. So, body. Second one is the feelings. Feelings here, these are how the mind feels certain thing. Feels in the sense that it feels it as pleasant, unpleasant, or neutral. Pleasant, unpleasant, or neutral. So in relation to the body, there are pleasant bodily feelings, unpleasant bodily feelings. Although feelings belongs to the mind, but it connected with the body, so there is a category that they categorize it as, a bodily feelings. So there are pleasant, unpleasant feeling. Then you have a mental pleasant or unpleasant feelings. That means like when we have anger, jealousy, sadness, fear, that is very unpleasant. That it falls under feelings. Sadness falls under the mind actually. Anger falls under the mind. But when this thing arises, there's also feelings. There's feeling that the mind tastes the object as very unpleasant. Something like that. Huh? Whether you can understand or not, doesn't matter. Then there's neutral feelings. Now, these neutral feelings, in direct translation from the Pali, it's usually called neither pleasant nor unpleasant. Yeah? So, in short, we just use the word neutral. So this type of feelings, generally you don't feel it in the beginning of your meditation retreat. Mostly when you are beginning, what feelings do you have? Exactly, suffering. Morning suffering, afternoon suffering, evening suffering. The next day, morning suffering, afternoon suffering, evening suffering. Pleasant feelings, not much. Hardly any. Maybe a little bit of calmness, a bit of coolness, and that's about it. Other than that, the nature of unpleasant feeling arises for most of the time. But the deeper aspect of it, you go deeper aspect of meditation, then the pleasant feelings becomes more prominent. It becomes more prominent and it lasts for a bit longer of time. So even with that too, the mind does not attach to all these pleasant feelings. And these pleasant feelings can come in as very, very pure type of pleasant feelings, not connected to all our senses, 5 senses. It's very disconnected from all of them. It comes in with the purity of the mind. That too, we should not get attached to all these feelings, because if you get attached to this, even these pleasant feelings, the mind also get trapped into it, although it's very nice. This one, normally this type of feelings, we don't see it in our everyday life. We don't see it in our everyday life because we are bombarded with the stimuli from all kinds, from our senses all the time. So this one have no chance to arise. It will only, this type of truly pure type of pleasant feeling, it comes with the progress, it comes with the purity of the mind, especially when the mind is free from a lot of all these hindrances. Don't look forward for it. It will come. Sometimes different yogis, it comes in slightly different way. They are also like joy or rapture of the mind. It's very different from, again, feelings. Then when it comes to neutral feelings normally we don't notice it in the beginning part of it. For example, you notice rising and falling. If you can able to catch the rising and falling, you can notice the touching sensation. You're noticing all these sensations if they are clear to you, well and good. But behind it, it's the neutral feelings. That means while you are noticing this rising and falling, you're neither happy nor unhappy. It's just it, But right now is that you are paying attention to more of the movement, the sensation, the pressure, the long, short, whatever that's going on there. You are noticing those phenomena clearer compared to the neutral feeling. So neutral feelings usually at the background. Now these neutral feelings will come in way much more deeper into the practice when they become a prominent object at that moment of time, then that time you can actually truly feel the neutral feeling itself, just like another object. So this one, that we have to pay attention to it also when the time comes, or when the object truly arises during that time. And then there are the third one, the Chittanupasana Satipatthana. Chitta. Chitta here means, directly we translate as the mind. Now the mind here also have many different category of the mind. There are, for example, sleepiness, a sleepy state of mind. It is also a present object. But then this type of mind is a very dull, very lethargic, no energy, no zest at all. The mind is so dull, heavy. This is the state of mind. And this sleepiness also, this drowsiness also, when the mindfulness gets better, this one gets less. But nevertheless, sometimes it do come in also. At that time, we begin to take note of the sleepiness, and we see the changes in the sleepiness. We even transform the sleepiness into an actual meditation object. And also there are anger. Although there are defilements, they are part of the nature of the mind. So therefore, even anger or sadness or jealousy, that those things arises, you have to pay attention to them, because they are real object, they are present object. And then there are also like mind is bright and alert. And that also, sometimes when you meditate, sometimes you notice that after the drowsiness, suddenly, wow, everything as if like the clouds has all gone. Everything is clear, wonderful. That state of mind also is a kind of state of mind where the mind is energetic, alert, and that is also, you can take notice of it. But right now, in the retreat, if you're a sort of beginner, at least you know it, but then don't stay with it for too long. Come back to the body, come back to the sensation. So it is a state of mind. There are also different types of mind. For example, there are concentrated mind, there are restless mind, there are doubt. The mind is doubting, the mind has a lot of clarity, no doubt, and so on. And also there are different states of mind. And then there are also the fourth category of the four foundation of mindfulness. Here, generally, it's difficult to translate this one. It's called Dhammanupasana Satipatthana. The Dhamma here, sometimes if you translate into English, sometimes they translate as mind objects, which is also, it's only partially right, which is not actually right completely. So normally we don't translate it into English, we just use the word Dhamma. Now the word Dhamma here, it's different from what you learn about Dhamma and so on, The word Dhamma here, in terms of the Vipassana practice, here it means conditioning. Here it means conditioning. That means one object condition another. Say, for example, in this category, there are a few categories. One of the category is the 5 hindrances. The 5 hindrances, there are like, what is the 5 hindrances? You have gone through so many retreats. You have greed, you have anger or ill will, then you have sloth and torpor, which is drowsiness, dullness of the mind. Fourth, you have restlessness and worry. And then the fifth, you have this skeptical doubt. 5. Now, here, although they are connected to the mind, but in in the fourth category, we are looking into what are the conditions that this thing arise. For example, what are the conditions that arouse the drowsiness to arise? That means you see the causes, you see the effect as a drowsiness that arises. So you see conditioning, or you see the sleepiness that arises. Then what does it? This you look at it as a cause right now, and what is the effect of the drowsiness? For example, it's quite a simple example. Drowsiness come in. You don't see the cause, perhaps. It comes in, and what happened to the body? And you go, that is the effect of it. Although it sounds simple, although it sounds very casual, and you ask somebody, anybody also can understand it. But the difference is that when you see from the Vipassana point of view, or when you see it with non-attachment, non-I, then you see it as conditioning. One thing affecting the other thing. Then the non-identification is there. Therefore, you also see non-self, the anatta aspect. But if you see from just by thinking alone, you're thinking alone, then you cannot see the aspect of non-self, because you are thinking it from the lenses of an I. The whole frame is that you are going through the I to think about it. So it's very different. Yeah? It sounds easy, but the experience is very different. So again here, in the fourth category here, it's more like the first satipatthana, the second one, and the third one, and how these three of them interact with each other, how they condition each other in one way or another, then you see it as the fourth one. Yeah? Whereas the first one, the second one, the third one, you don't see the conditioning. Yeah? Here, the fourth one, you see the conditioning. They have like 5 hindrances. You see how the hindrances are conditioning something here, how it arises, and so on. There are also like 7 factors of enlightenment, different factors like mindfulness, effort, and so on. And again here, you begin to see what causes this mindfulness arises, what causes this effort to arise, and so on. Quite complicated. Yeah? Although in other retreats, I do talk about it. When there's a long retreat, not 10 days, Long retreat means 3 months. Then there are also other categories, like even Four Noble Truths. Four Noble Truths, then you look at it in a more deeper aspect, is also conditioning. What causes that dukkha to arise? What causes this suffering or unsatisfactoriness to arise? And this craving that causes it. Then again, when they go into a deeper aspect of development, you begin to see again all this craving and arising of phenomena. It gives rise to suffering and so on. Then only you begin to truly appreciate what actually the Buddha thought. Yeah. If you just study and more, if you have a ton of knowledge, theoretical knowledge, although it's good, but it's not good enough. It has to come with the Vipassana and truly understand, then only you appreciate the words of the Buddha. Because that time is not by thinking, it's not by pondering, it's not by belief, it's by experience. You directly feel those things. So these are the objects that one has to keep on noticing this thing. Yeah? Now, although these objects are are there inside this body and mind. But for a beginner, we need something to help us, for us to able to pay attention to these objects. If for a beginner's mind, if you are not really trained into this Vipassana, then if you ask somebody to just pay attention to the rising, falling, to the sensation, and so on directly, it's very difficult for them to keep the mind and notice what is going on. Very fast, the mind goes into thoughts, thinking, planning, and so on. So therefore, we use labeling. Now, labeling here, they are also concept, but they are useful concept. They are not the actual object for Vipassana meditation, but they are a useful concept. Here, let's say you are noticing a lifting, pushing, dropping. While you are noticing this lifting, pushing, dropping, concurrently, you label them. As it's lifting, you word it out as lifting, or you say it out as lifting mentally. I have to use the word mentally, because there are places who verbally, there are places like 10 yogis walking all together, So everybody will say lifting, then the whole hall be lifting, and the hall be pushing, the hall be dropping, It's like a chorus during this time. There are people doing it like that. I mean, it's in a way, not to say it's totally bad. It will definitely keep you awake. It will definitely keep you awake. But it's more important is that we keep it internally. Keep it internally, keep it the words internally as lifting, pushing, dropping. Now, when we use this labeling, the nature of this labeling is to help to direct the mind onto the object. You want to direct a beginner's mind onto the object and right onto the object. You got to like a laser pointer to point it there. So you got to repeat it again and again. You have to train the mind to do it again and again using this labeling to touch on the objects that in the present moment. So instead of lifting, pushing, dropping, you label it. For example, you are pushing a door, then sometimes you label it as pushing. At least the mind is there. Sometimes you are eating, you're chewing, you're biting, swallowing. Then all this process, you notice them or you label them correspondingly, whichever process they are going on. So you pay attention. You do that again and again. And in this labeling, it helps the yogi, the beginner's yogi, to direct the object much faster compared to when you are not doing any labeling. If you don't do any labeling in the beginning process, it's going to be difficult. So fast that the mind will go into a lot of thinking. So many times I've heard of beginners yogi when they come into this retreat, when they do the walking, sometimes they experiment. One with labeling, they feel that the mind doesn't go into so much thinking because the labeling, it do the work of thinking a little bit, so that you got no time to do all other thinking and so on. So in the same time, it notice the sensation better. Then sometimes they remove the labeling and they try the walking. Then at that time they will notice that there's so much thinking. In the beginning, yes, it's still okay, but after a short while, the thoughts is just coming and so much. So the labeling can be very helpful. So this labeling, now when you do this labeling, you have to keep this labeling simple. As simple as you can. Maybe a one word label type of this one. You keep it simple. But some people, they do labeling as if like they're making a sentence or multiple sentences inside there, you know. They're not lifting. No, then the mind starts commenting on the side there. So, maybe I'm not lifting it high enough. Yeah, I should have lifted it high enough. Maybe I should have gone with the everything goes up. I shouldn't be like lifting the heel up, then only the toes up. No, you start talking to yourself. Yeah, you know what I mean? Yeah, you're supposed to just lifting and then you just notice the whole process. Yeah, you're not there to go and talk to yourself and making commentaries, making all. So you have to keep it simple. You have to keep this labeling simple, because sometimes, especially when you sit down there, and you notice this rising and falling, and something that you have not seen it before, and it's new to you. Oh, this, how come this rising and falling can go sideways? You know? I thought it's supposed to go here, but now, hey, whoa. Then you start thinking, this going sideways cannot be. And then you open up the eyes. No, it's still going up and down. You close the eyes again, then you go sideways again. Then you start confused. What is going on right now? then you start commenting over there. So here, you have to learn to trust your mindfulness. You got to don't trust your thinking. Don't trust you think that you're intelligent. You think that you have all this knowledge. You got to learn to put them aside, and you begin to trust what is being experienced in the present moment. Even it goes sideways, even it really go diagonal or it go really side, whatever it happens, you pay attention to it. Then you take notice of it. You label it. You label it as sideways. No problem. You just keep labeling it. Yeah. Sometimes this labeling, for those who have you have able to have multi-language. Then you want to label it in your own language. Also, it's perfectly fine. It does not really matter which language you are in, but we have to keep it simple. Keep it simple. Keep it conventional. I have to use the word conventional because there are yogis who learn a lot of Dhamma. They learn a lot of Dhamma. They have they are brilliant in all the different aspects of Dhamma. And then when it comes into the labeling, they label instead of rising or falling or motion. Now they label it as wind element. This is wind element. Then they notice something warm, something hot. Oh, fire element. No, you don't do all this labeling in this way. You label it a very conventional, simple manner. If it's hot, you label it as hot. Don't label it as fire element. Don't label it as all kinds of this abhidhamma and everything. You put all those things aside. Yeah. So you label it as it is. Yeah. So you label them as best as you can, as much as you can. Yeah. Now there will be times as you progress, you also slowly have to learn to drop the labeling also. When you drop the labeling, one of the criteria is that the object change faster than what you can label. That means that the rising and falling, it goes a bit drastic, a bit faster, and then it's more continuous. Then you try to, before you put the word labeling, it's already falling. Then you got no time to label. Then that time you got to put aside. the labeling, and then you completely learn to feel the whole movement of this sensation. Then in that way, the mind is truly able to notice this labeling. Yeah? So of course, sometimes also, like in the daily activities, sometimes you may not have all the vocabulary to, whatever that you are doing. So sometimes you don't necessarily to label every single thing. Because there are also yogis who are so over concerned about their labeling, and they have to exactly find the right word for it. Yeah. Take for example, if they are noticing the pain, then they have to watch the pain, and then they have to stop for a while. What pain is this? Is this a burning pain? No. Is this a numb? No. Is this poking? No. Then they have to stop there and start thinking about the pain. So if you become too over concerned about the labeling, then that is also, again, it goes into thinking, right? Now, if you don't have a name for it, don't worry, just put it aside, just label it as pain. Although sometimes, like, you are doing daily activities also, you're washing pots and pans, you're turning on the tap, you're scrubbing and so on. Sometimes the process can be a slightly faster than what you can label. You don't stay there scrubbing, you want to turn on the tap. What should I do right now? No, you don't have to. You have to just do it continuously. You don't have to wait for the words to come up. Then only you move your arm, and then the next thing you have to wait for the words to come up again. You move. Then you become a very robotic. So you don't have to do that. You just do naturally. You don't do it too fast. And then all you need to do is just keep noticing what you are doing. So on other situation, when it's easier for you to label, then you label them, and then you keep the mind to know what is going on. So in this way, it'll be very helpful for you. So this time, as I said, in the beginning process, we need to do a lot of labeling. Now, when you go more advanced, object, as I said, it changes much more, and then you begin to drop. So you begin to drop the labeling does not mean that the moment you drop the labeling, you don't use it back again. You will need to use it back again on different occasions. Even for advanced meditator, we also bring back the labeling, especially when you begin the retreat. Because when you begin the retreat from out there, you don't have much of mindfulness. Then you come in, you want to build up the mindfulness again. And then we'll use this labeling and this noticing. And then within 2 or 3 days, the mind picks up again to the optimum level. So it's good. It gives you a faster state of mind to reach to the optimum level where you left off from the past retreat. So the labeling helps in this way. So once it picks up, objects become clear, then you slowly drop the labeling again. But on other occasion, the yogis still also bring in the labeling, because one of the using this labeling is that it brings about good mental energy. It gives rise to a good mental energy. And when you need this energy, especially to overcome the drowsiness and dullness of the mind. Because the dullness, sleepiness, and the mind that is bored and so on, these states of mind is completely opposite from a mind that is active and alert. So here is where the virya or the mental energy is very helpful. to overcome this. So how do you do that? So let's say while you're sitting, you're noticing the rising, falling, you notice sensation. Then after that, slowly the drowsiness is coming from the background, and then it begins to become dominant. It takes over the noticing. All your rising and falling starts to fade away, your sensation fade away, mind becomes heavy, dull. Then this time, you bring in the labeling. And you bring in a bit louder, the labeling. You got to label it louder, faster and firmer. You got to label it like sleepy, 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 sleepy. Heavy, 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 dull, 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 dull. You got to be firm. You got to pay attention to it. Then only the mind wakes up. Sometimes you see this sleepiness. If you can try, you see this sleepiness becomes like from strong, then you notice it become intense, even dull, even heavier. Stay with it, be patient with it, keep noticing as best as you can. Then you see that the drowsiness starts to diminish, starts to lessen and lessen and lessen and lessen. Then it fades away. And then you feel good. Wow, I can overcome sleepiness. Then after another one come in again. Then you'll see how patient you are. We're going to see how strong it is, how strong your mind can withstand this drowsiness and all this thinking. So when the drowsiness comes in, you pay attention to it firm, slightly faster slightly faster on the noting, on the labeling, and then you watch the process itself. Then once it disappears, go back to the rising and falling, go back to the sensation of the body. That it can be very helpful for you, noticing this drowsiness. Or sometimes if you cannot notice this, when you notice this drowsiness, then if you don't want to directly face the drowsiness, although you know it's there, then what you can do is that bring the attention to the sitting and touching. You note the sitting and touching. You note it, the touching there. You note touching, 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 and you feel sensation like warm or hot, or sometimes a bit of sweatiness, some sensation. Then you move to the buttock. Label it again as sitting, 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 sitting in a slightly faster manner. Feel the sensation. Again, back to the hand again, noticing the hand. Then after that, go to another buttock. If you can feel it, then notice it again and back again. Just keep the mind doing something. So when you do that, it helps to overcome the sleepiness. Sometimes it's the drowsiness is so heavy. But after a few days, actually, the yogi, once in a while, you begin to can overcome the sleepiness. Because there is a certain degree of mindfulness already comes in through the practice of walking, sitting throughout day after day. And when the drowsiness comes in, you can recall, you can arouse that mindfulness through using the effort, using the labeling, and then it helps to overcome the drowsiness. So it can be done. So don't give up on this one. But on the other hand, when the thinking, when a lot of restlessness, then that time you are over energetic. You're over energetic, the mind is restless, one thought after another, after another, after another, after another, after another. So here sometimes yogis also, they get frustrated with so much thinking. They try to notice the rising and falling, they try to notice the sensation, and then these thoughts keep coming and coming, and you don't know what to do. You just hope. Sometimes, unfortunately, we see yogis get too frustrated with it. And if you don't really know how to overcome it, these hindrances, this is one of the biggest factor that the yogis give up on this meditation because it's just too much thinking. Usually too much thinking, they cannot handle it. So much problem. Every time I come to a retreat, it's just thinking. And why should I carry on this retreat again? You know? I better change to another retreat that's more simple. So they cannot face this thinking. The other one that also usually yogis give up on this meditation is the pain. Because the pain keep on coming and coming until they just get too frustrated. Because sometimes with wrong understanding or they have a lot of hopes, a lot of anticipation that the retreat will give them peace and calm, and then they come in and with all the pain and everything, they just, why should I carry on? So much pain. Also give up. These two is, I mean, there are others also. These two things is usually what we see. And then they hear of other yogis they go through pain, and then they listen, wow, so much pain. Oh, no. I do not want to go for this type of retreat. In life, there's so much pain. Why should I come in for more pain? For more suffering, you know? There are, again, these things is happening. There are people who give Dhamma talks in this way nowadays. You know, you should come to the retreat, you just have to be calm and peaceful. Everything you just ignore. Everything you just be peaceful. Then the Dhamma will arise from there. From the peacefulness, it will come in. I mean, it sounds nice, it sounds very, very special, but that's not how the Dhamma arises. The Dhamma arises through by seeing things as they really are. And then seeing things as they really are, and one of the biggest things is to see suffering, a different aspect of suffering. Yeah? So one have to take note of it. So when it comes to the restless mind, when you pay attention to it, now this time you have to learn to be more calm with the restlessness. Now you can able to, let's say, you're out of the story. The thoughts are just passing through. You're not fall in the thoughts, but it cannot finish. There's so many thoughts that's passing through right now. Not much emotion involved, but just thoughts, just random thoughts passing through. Then you take note of it. You pay attention to it. Now, when you pay attention to these type of thoughts, you don't try to suppress it. You're more like you sit there, just relax. The restless mind is so clear right now, yeah? It's so obvious right now. You just sit there, restless. You just label it as restless, 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 in a more gentle manner. Even though right now the thoughts are going quite fast, one after another, but your labeling is more like a very gentle labeling, a soft, calm type of labeling. Restless, 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 or thinking, planning. Then with that, you don't feed it with more energy. Yeah, you're more like right now. You need to be a bit more calmer. Then this restlessness, this thinking will start to fade away. Yeah. So this is how we do this labeling. Yeah? So this labeling, we have to use it, and we use it for our benefit, for our development. And even in the text also, sometimes you read the Anapanasati Sutta or other suttas, the Buddha also mentioned about all this. I know long breath, I know short breath. This all also labeling in that sense. Yeah. But then again, there are places who are those people who practice different types of method of satipatthana or vipassana. They says that no, this labeling you all should not do at all because these are all concepts. They are not the actual. They are not the actual. They are not the actual object for vipassana meditation. You should not use this labeling. Normally, when we hear this type of things happening, we begin to notice that also the yogis also are very weak in their observation. Unclear. The mindfulness is not sustainable. Mindfulness is not sustainable. Everything you pay attention, after that, very fast it fades away. You pay attention on something, after that, the mind cannot stay with it, it fades away. So we find that when the yogi doesn't label, it has a effect on the development of the yogi. So in the beginning process, as I said, this labeling, they are helpful, but they are not the actual object. They are not the actual object. Now, sometimes when you go to this type of method of meditation, the labeling is one state of mind. The noting, the mind that pays attention that's on the object, that is another state of mind. And while in the beginning part, this labeling and this actual observation, they are all mixed together. And it's perfect and it's okay. No problem. You label it, you pay attention to it, then you're aware of it. But when you go into the deeper aspect of it, then you begin to see that you can drop the labeling. Then this noting mind, the mind that notes an object or pays attention to the object or scrutinizes the object, this one becomes very clear, very alert. Then that time, the mind is powerful. You can able to notice it for a longer period of time without the labeling. So the labeling is a tool. It's a very useful tool for us to use it whenever that you need to use it. Appropriate time. Now, here, these are, as I said, these labeling are also concept. But even when you remove the labeling, let's say you truly pay attention to an object. The concept doesn't mean that it's totally gone, There are still remnants of concept around your observation. Doesn't mean that it's truly gone. And again here, when you go deeper into it, the mind can able to dissect this concept between the concept and the observation becomes even better, becomes even more refined in that sense. Now, take for example, you sit there, you watch your rising and falling, you watch all the sensation and everything. Everything is very clear. You drop the labeling. Then suddenly, you forget the time. Hey, this is a morning sitting or afternoon sitting or an evening sitting. Then suddenly you don't realize that what is the time right now? No, over here, of course, there's 1 hour. But while you're sitting, sometimes you do not know what time that you are sitting. So during this time, right now, the mind is removing the concept of time. But when the yogi is sitting there, the yogi thinks that something is wrong with me. How come I do not know what time is it? Am I going into something wrong? Dementia? Or sometimes they don't even know where they are sitting. They are so engrossed with the whole sensation of rising, falling, everything changing and all that thing. And then, where am I? Which retreat I'm in? They don't realize that how come all this, how come for a period of time they don't realize the time or the place? Or even sometimes there are yogis who sit there, the direction is like completely gone. Yeah? They know that while you're sitting, you're facing the Buddha here. Good. But sometimes when they're sitting, as if like everything is distorted, as if like I'm facing to the side. Then you open up the eyes, no, I'm still facing the Buddha. But how come when I close the eyes, the distortion is there? Or even, not only that, sometimes certain yogis may feel that they don't even know which direction they are facing right now. So again here, the deeper concept right now is that when it goes into the deeper aspect, the concept, the fundamental concept of time, place, it begins to remove on its own. Yeah? And when you first time notice this thing, you will get shocked because you will think that something is wrong with you. And actually, it's nothing wrong with you. It's just only that you never know what when the mind is truly disconnected with concept. For all our lives, we are always using concept. Everything that we do in our life, there's direction, there's time, there's place, there's this and that. Then there's always the concept is there inside our mind. Until when it comes into Vipassana, slowly when the concept is removed, in the beginning part, you feel a bit shocking. Then sometimes the yogis feel so shocking that if they have no teachers, if there are no competent teachers to tell them what is going on, then they'll get very afraid. They just go back to the thinking about where they are, or they feel safe and secure. Because all their life they'll be using this concept to feel right. Right now, when the Vipassana is all these fences are being removed, they feel like so insecure. So this is something that a yogi has to learn to go through also. Sometimes when you sit there, even the concept of the form of the body, right now, for example, you sit, you notice the rising, falling, then the pain arises. Where is the pain? Oh, the pain is at the buttock there. Then you know the buttock is the bottom there. Now, when it goes into the deeper aspect, when you notice even the rising and falling, the movement, you don't even see that the movement is somewhere here. Or even when the pain arises, though, you don't even know exactly where the pain is. But you're truly aware of the pain is there. The idea of which part of the body also disappear. Or sometimes even there are yogis who sit there, who notice sitting, but half of the body as if like totally gone. They only can feel the head until the stomach only. Then again, they open up the eyes. Oh yes, the leg is still here. So they close the eye. They just to feel good, They feel secure again. Because again, when this thing slowly disappear, you feel something is wrong. Sometimes the yogi feel only the leg but no head. So a lot of distortion will start coming in at the beginning part until slowly all this concept is being removed. And that time, the mind is truly observing what is truly going on with the whole process of mind and body. So the conceptual part is not something simple. It's quite deep and it's got a multiple layer of it. So I mentioned this thing because perhaps there are those people who are able to notice it because they have done some practice in the past before. But there's also some new yogis who have not seen all this thing. Perhaps in the future retreats, maybe when this thing arises, make sure you don't get too shocked about the experience when it comes in. At least you kind of like aware that this is still, all these things may happen, and you're kind of ready for it. Yeah. Yeah. So this is some of the concept. Yeah. So okay, we'll stop here for tonight. Tomorrow we'll continue on another topic. Okay. Sad.